Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'll be breaking down our first matchup of UFC Houston, coming to us live this Saturday, February 21st. Overall, I'm very much looking forward to this card. The main event in particular, Sean Strickland versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I am so looking forward to that fight. Hernandez, in my opinion, is the dark horse of the middleweight division and someone I personally have enjoyed watching his rise through the division since he started his win streak. And now he gets a big chance against former champion and outspoken fighter Sean Strickland. That should be a very exciting fight. And overall, this card has some bangers to it. Not even just hidden gems, just overall fights that definitely I think are going to stand and deliver. Like Chidi Ejekawani versus Carlos Sial. I think those two are going to try and take each other's heads off. The co-main event, Jeff Neal versus Uros Medic. That is going to be a barn burner. And then, of course, you have one of the other big fights on the card, Danny Gay versus Miquizio Acosta. That's a chef's kiss type of fight. Overall, and the prelims are pretty fun too. A lot of Houston talent on the card. Overall, this is going to be a very exciting card, and I can't wait to talk about it. So, the first fight of the night, our prelim opener, we have Carli Judice taking on Juliana Miller. For Carli Judice, I gotta say, I think she is a prospect in the women's featherweight division. Had a bit of a rough go at it at first. Lost her contender series fight to Ernesta Kirikiewicz. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. And then lost her UFC debut to Gabriela Fernandez. Now, granted, both those fights were split decisions, and Carli Judice made a good account of herself, giving them a fight. But since then, has now been on a 2-fight win streak. Both of those by finish. If you'll give me one moment. Hey, I want my computer acts up. There we go. Yeah, Ernesta Kirikiewicz. I did get the other right. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, 2-fight win streak for Judice. Knocked out Yazin Dubin. And then most recently at UFC 318, TKO'd Nicole Cagliari. Meanwhile, for Juliana Miller, former winner of the Ultimate Fighter, season 30, I believe, but currently now 2-3 in her last 5. Lost. Now, she won the contract to the UFC in the finale against Brogan Walker, but what does that mean? Went on a 2-fight skid, losing to Veronica Hardy and Luana Santos. Now, granted, those were 2 years ago. She came back back last May in the Sanhagen versus Figueiredo card in Des Moines, Iowa, and defeated Ivana Petrovic. So, while both of these two are not the most experienced fighters, I mean, they both have 7 fights in total. I feel like one is just proven to be a prospect, truly a prospect. And I know she's coming off losses, but like Gabriela Fernandez is ranked in the top 15 and pretty good. And again, they were split decision losses. And since then, she has been on a terror. Now, obviously, I think Yasmin Dubin and Nicole Cagliari may not be the best opposition, but the fact that Judice is finishing them relatively impressively, I think speaks a lot. But, of course, without further ado, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Judice, she is shown to be a pretty composed and technical striker. She fights with good patience, understanding of range, and is very comfortable letting fights play out in front of her rather than always forcing the exchange. One of the best examples was when she fought Nicole Cagliari, and you saw how consistently and constantly throughout that fight, Judice would land those switch knees to the liver, and eventually by round 3, it was game over for Cagliari as all those that body damage just racked up. So the ability to just move in and out of range with knees quite effectively too is very impressive. Or with Yasmin Dubin, how Cagliari was able to sort of pressure against the fence, then land the head kick. She's got a very good understanding of timing, very good at it, and very good at picking her shots. One of the, I say, Judice's biggest strengths too is how to stay calm under pressure. Like, she's been in firefights before, like against Gabriela Fernandez, like Ernesta. But Judice doesn't panic, and when opponents rush her, she doesn't abandon her stance just to escape the exchange. She is very composed and very good at capitalizing on those opponent's mistakes. She also got a very good. Judice is very good at managing distance, using movement not just to like run, but to reset, take small steps, stay balanced, and keep herself in position to strike again. And over time, that starts to frustrate opponents, and you've seen it. Now, for Juliana Miller, she's more so about aggression and dogged toughness. Fights at a high pace, pushes forward, and looks to turn fights into scrambles. Her game is more so built around pressure, physicality, and forcing opponents into situations where technique is not always the best option or not the first option. When Miller's is successful, oftentimes she makes the fight messy. She doesn't want like a clean, long-range striking exchanges. She's not really that good of a striker. Most of her abilities or best part of her game would be the grappling, whether it's the clinch, her takedown attempts, transitions, and moments where both fighters are reacting rather than carefully planning their next move. Plus, like I said, Miller's toughness is real. She's willing to keep coming when even when she's overwhelmed. And, it's proven very well for her against, like I said, Veronica Hardy. But at the same time, Hardy isn't that big of a power hitter, especially at flyweight. Now, Luana Santos, that's a different story. And then definitely didn't look good for Judice. But again, it's been 2 years, and she has at least shored up her skills to where, she was an underdog against Ivana Petrovic and, still beat her. But the problems with Miller's style for me is that it often comes with risk, because when Miller isn't forcing scrambles or prolonged grappling exchanges, she's often giving up clean looks on the feet. What I mean is she's often kind of slow at times, a little plodding, and usually just kind of gets picked apart. And I think that's going to cause her some real problems in this fight. Now, for my official prediction, I gotta go with Carli Judice. Like I said, she's a prospect for me in this division. Like, not only I guess I would say it's the same as like Fatima Klein. Like, I know Klein has a loss to Jasmine. Like, whatever though, that was short notice. But seeing a women's prospect, one that's actually finishing her opposition quite impressively too, I find is someone to really look after in this division. Plus, I know for a fact Carli Judice is able to fight within the fire, so to speak, because hell, she's fought in it twice before. Granted, lost those ends, but still showed that, when the going gets tough and, you got to bite down on that mouthpiece, Judice is willing to. But at the same time, she has great technique. She's got deceptive power, and she's very good at picking her spots when needed to. Plus, I think she's a good enough defensive grappler, which, I say this, her ground game's not been really that tested. I do understand this. But I don't think Miller's that strong of a wrestler to force the issue. And while they're on the feet, Miller is kind of like slow, not really good footwork, not good at cutting angles. And I think that's going to lead to Carli Judice picking her apart. Might even do a lot of those knees to the body like we saw her last time. And I cannot fathom Juliana Miller winning. Not because she doesn't have some skills. Like I said, her ground game is pretty good. And she is tough. But I just think a lot of Judice is clean and easy, and striking is just going to be, leagues above. Plus, she's one of the biggest favorites on this card for a reason, right? She's 4-1 favorite. I think it makes sense. And I think, if Miller's takedown attempts fail and fail consistently, I think that's just going to give Judice more openings to land cleaner strikes. So once again, I'm picking Carli Judice. I actually do think she's also going to get a finish here. I think she's going to get a TKO. Oh, like I said, her striking is really good, and it's really good striking to see. I'll say it like that. But like I said, once again, I'm gonna pick Carli Judice, and I'm gonna pick her via TKO. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this matchup. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think's gonna win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening, and remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.